It was a crisp Saturday morning in late September 2024, the kind of day in our new Maplewood Heights neighborhood in Raleigh, North Carolina, where you wake up to the smell of fresh dew and think life's pretty darn good. My wife, Sarah, and I had only been in our cozy two-story home for 2 months, and I was convinced we'd landed in suburban paradisatry-lined streets, friendly waves, the whole deal. But that illusion shattered faster than a glass dropped on concrete when Linda Harper, our next-door neighbor, decided to turn our quiet weekend into a national spectacle. By the end of it, her life was in tatters, the internet was ablaze, and our sleepy cul-de-sac became the backdrop for a story so wild it could only happen in real life. It all kicked off at 6:15 a.m. I was still in my flannel pajamas, barely awake, when the doorbell started chiming like someone was auditioning for a percussion band. 3 sharp rings, then a pause, followed by the distinct tap-tap-tap of an impatient foot on our porch. I dragged myself to the door, rubbing sleep from my eyes, thinking maybe a neighbor needed a jump-start or there was some urgent news. Instead, I found Linda Harper, mid-50s, dressed like she was heading to a board meeting, clutching a clipboard as if it were a badge of supreme authority. "Morning, Linda," I mumbled, trying to sound polite despite my foggy brain. "Everything okay?" Her eyes narrowed, and she snapped into what I can only describe as drill sergeant mode. "I need to speak to Sarah now," she declared, each word dripping with urgency. "There's an urgent HOA meeting, and her presence is required." Now, here's the thing. Sarah was, at that exact moment, holed up in our upstairs office, deep in a classified video call coordinating Operation Starlight, a federal sting to rescue 15 missing kids spread across 4 states. I didn't know the full details then. Sarah's work as a federal task force leader demands secrecy, but I knew enough to say, "She's on a critical work call. Can this wait until later?" Linda's face twisted like I'd just confessed to hiding a bomb. "A work call?" she repeated, her voice laced with suspicion. What kind of federal business happens on a Saturday morning? The way she said federal business made it sound like Sarah was running a secret militia. I didn't know it then, but Linda had a reason for her paranoia, one rooted in a tragedy that had twisted her view of the world. See, Linda's husband, Officer Michael Harper, was a hero who died in a 2019 mall shooting, shielding 18 shoppers from a gunman. His sacrifice saved every one of them, but it left Linda with a deep-seated fear of anything tied to law enforcement. To her, federal agents weren't protectors, they were magnets for danger, drawing chaos to quiet places like ours. Our neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, later filled me in as she walked her labradoodle past our house. "Linda's convinced the government brings trouble," she whispered while Linda paced our lawn, muttering about suspicious activity. In Linda's mind, a locked door was a cover for something sinister, and Sarah's refusal to bow to her HOA authority was proof of a conspiracy. By 6:45 a.m., Linda was back, this time with a notebook, scribbling like she was building a case for the FBI herself. She knocked harder, shouting through the door, "Sarah, I know you're in there. What's this secret government work?" I could hear snippets of Sarah's call phrases like "target locations confirmed" and "strike teams prepped," and I knew every word was a potential landmine. Sarah was coordinating a mission where one leak could tip off traffickers, letting them slip away with those kids. But to Linda, those words were evidence of a terrorist plot brewing in our split-level home. By 7:10, she was pounding the door like a SWAT team, yelling, "Open this door, Sarah. I'm the HOA president, and I have authority." Our 10-year-old neighbor, Noah, saw the chaos and started filming on his phone, sensing TikTok gold. The kid's a budding influencer, always chasing content, and Linda was handing him a viral hit. At 7:30, Linda lost it completely. She was ringing the bell, kicking the door, and screaming through the mail slot about federal conspiracies and community safety. Sarah, meanwhile, was finalizing raid plans to save those kids, her voice steady as she confirmed operation parameters locked. Linda overheard this and flipped, storming back to her house muttering about calling the real authorities. Sarah finished her call, looked at me with eerie calm, and said, "Babe, that woman just declared war on the feds. In about 10 minutes, every agency in the state's gonna get a terrorism alert about our house." I felt my stomach drop. Linda was about to learn you don't mess with a federal agent, especially not one who's also the police chief. Linda's mindset was a mix of grief and delusion. She'd spent weeks building a dossier on Sarah, convinced she was a national security threat. Her evidence: Sarah moved in quietly, skipped HOA barbecues because of work, got late-night deliveries, just Amazon, and had official-looking visitors, our insurance guy. To Linda, this was a terrorist profile. She even called our neighbor, Mrs. Carter, whispering, "Do you know anything about Sarah's government job?" Mrs. Carter, sipping her morning tea, said, "She's professional, maybe a consultant." Linda pounced on that, shouting, "Consultant? That's code for something dangerous." By 8 a.m., she was on the phone with 911, hands shaking with righteous fury. 123 Elm Drive, she told the operator. "There's a terrorist cell here. They're talking about weapons and child hostages." The operator, trained to treat terrorism calls like gospel, triggered a multi-agency response. Within minutes, Raleigh PD, County SWAT, the FBI, and ATF were mobilizing. I overheard Linda on her lawn, triumphantly reciting her evidence to the dispatcher. "She's hiding something federal, coordinating strikes." I ran inside, yelling, "Sarah, she's called the cops on us for terrorism." Sarah, still on her call, didn't flinch. "Honey, she just committed multiple felonies. The feds are about to swarm our house, thinking I'm the bad guy. This is going to be a hell of a morning." The sirens started at 8:20. 3 police cars screeched into our cul-de-sac, lights flashing like we were hosting a disaster drill. Officer Daniels, a rookie barely out of the academy, checked his database and froze. "Dispatch, this address is federally protected. Requesting clarification on the threat." The response crackled, "FBI and SWAT en route. Exercise extreme caution, armed suspects reported." Linda, arms crossed, looked smug as she pointed at our house. "That's the terrorist," she shouted. Then Sarah stepped outside, badge in hand, moving with the calm of someone who's faced worse than a suburban meltdown. Daniel's jaw dropped. "Chief Larson," he stammered. Linda's face froze, then twisted. "Chief of what?" "Some terrorist group." Sarah handed Daniels her ID. "Read it aloud, please." His voice shook. "Chief of Police Sarah Larson, Federal Anti-Trafficking Task Force Coordinator." Linda's confidence crumbled as reality called the feds on the woman who runs the police. FBI agent Ramirez rolled up in a black SUV, and the crowd of neighbors, now 20 strong, went silent. "Chief Larson," Ramirez said, "we've got a security breach tied to Operation Starlight." Sarah nodded. Mrs. Harper filed a false terrorism report and recorded classified communications. She turned to Linda, voice steady but razor-sharp. "Mrs. Harper, you violated USC Title 18, Sections 1038, 1503, 115, and 1512. That's false terrorism reporting, obstruction, harassment of a federal officer, and endangering a child rescue mission. Each carries years in prison." Linda's face cycled through denial, confusion, then horror. The neighbors gasped. Mrs. Jenkins, clutching her dog, said, "Linda, Sarah saves kids." Noah's live stream was blowing up 10,000 viewers and climbing, with comments like, "Karen versus FBI? She's done." Sarah, ever the professional, showed mercy. Agent Ramirez, Mrs. Harper's husband, died a hero saving lives. Her actions come from trauma. "I recommend counseling over prison, with strict conditions." Ramirez raised an eyebrow but agreed, outlining terms. Linda would resign from the HOA, issue a public apology, complete 6 months of PTSD therapy, do 200 hours of community service, pay $18,000 in restitution, and face 2 years of probation with a no-contact order. Linda broke down, sobbing. "Michael died saving kids, and I accused someone doing the same. He'd be ashamed." The neighborhood turned on her. Mrs. Carter organized a vote 82-3 to oust Linda from the HOA. Sarah's operation went off flawlessly that night, rescuing 15 kids and busting a trafficking ring. But Linda's nightmare was just beginning. Noah's video hit 1 million views by Monday, trending as Federal Karen. Late-night hosts pounced. Jimmy Kimmel quipped, "She called the FBI on the FBI. That's like yelling at a chef for cooking." SNL's parody had the audience roaring. Linda's life unraveled. Her kids faced workplace and school fallout. Her house sold at a loss, and Google searches tied her to Federal Karen forever. By month 2, Linda's therapy with Dr. Ellis revealed her grief-driven paranoia. I couldn't save Michael, so I tried to control everything else, she admitted. Her community service at a victim advocacy center opened her eyes to Sarah's work. $60,000 donated to child rescues. Countless hours with survivors. Linda's public apology at a packed community center was raw. I attacked a hero. I'm sorry. The crowd was polite, but cold. Sarah responded, actions matter more than words. Honor your husband by supporting, not attacking, those who protect kids. A year later, Linda lives quietly, her reputation in ruins. Sarah's a national hero, with a best-selling book and congressional honors. Our neighborhood's safer, property values up 15%. Linda's case reshaped federal protocols, a cautionary tale of entitlement meeting justice. But the internet never forgets her name still pulls 3 million negative hits. So what do you think? Was Sarah too lenient with Linda? Should grief excuse federal crimes? Could you forgive a neighbor who endangered kids' lives? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more real-life drama that'll leave you speechless.